He burned her tribal flag in front of the entire class. But when she stepped into the arena the next morning, she made him kneel in the ashes of his own pride. Arya then walked into the Iron Crest Combat Academy with a simple principle stitched into the fabric of the crimson flag she carried. Every warrior deserves a place to stand. She had earned that flag during the initiation trials of her tribal homeland, the Ember Reaches, where every child crafted a banner representing their resilience. Hers had survived storms, fire, and a raid that took half her village. And now it lay in the hands of the man who hated everything she represented. Instructor Garrick Dale stood towering before the class, a former war hero with a jaw carved from stone and a mind rusted shut. His scars were legends. His temper was warnings. His ego, untouchable. He lifted Arya's flag between two fingers as if it were a dirty cloth. "This," he said to the class, voice booming across the training yard, "is why warriors today are weak, clinging to sentimental trash instead of strength." The students went silent. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Arya's heart thudded once, twice, then became a cold, steady beat. "Sir," she said, stepping forward, "that flag is part of my culture." "It isn't weakness," Garrick's eyes sharpened. "Correction, cadet, it was part of your culture." Before she or anyone could react, he tossed the flag into the burning barrel used for disposing of damaged training gear. Flames leapt eagerly, swallowing the cloth. A soft gasp rippled across the class. Arya didn't gasp. She didn't even blink. The shock was too deep and old. This was not the first time. Someone had tried to destroy what was hers. Inside, something ancient stirred. Instructor Garrick smirked, clearly pleased with himself. "Let this be a lesson. Out here the world burns whatever you love. So stop carrying things you're not strong enough to protect." Arya met his gaze, unwavering. "I will take that lesson, sir," she whispered. "But I suggest you take one too." Garrick chuckled. "And what might that be?" Arya's voice hardened like cooling steel. "That sometimes," she said, eyes locked on the flames, "the fire chooses the wrong thing to consume." No one understood what she meant. Not yet, but the mountain of pride Instructor Garrick carried had just begun to crack. The academy had rules. Strict, unforgiving rules. But Garrick had just broken one of the most sacred. Respect cultural symbols. It was a rule the academy loudly preached but quietly ignored. And everyone knew there was only one way to hold a high-rank instructor accountable. File a combat challenge, a duel, a regulated, witnessed, skill-based confrontation. A risk no sane cadet took. Arya filed it anyway. When Garrick received the formal notice, his laughter shook the corridor walls. "A duel? You?" he boomed, leaning over her. "Cadet, the only reason I remember your name is because you walk like you're carrying a history book on your back." "Good," she replied. "Then remember it when you fall." The class buzzed with gossip. Some admired her nerve. Others whispered she'd gone mad. Nobody challenged Garrick Dale. He'd once disarmed a raider by glaring at him. He was built like a fortress and fought like he was still on the battlefield. But Arya didn't need brute strength. She had something else, a memory carved into her bones. On the night before the duel, Arya visited the ashes of her burned flag. She knelt, scooping the gray dust into her hands. It felt warm, like it remembered her. Like it apologized. She tied a small pouch of those ashes to her belt. "For my people," she whispered. Across the yard, Instructor Garrick watched, arms crossed. "Still crying over scraps?" he called. Arya stood unfazed. "Still scared of a student?" She returned. Garrick's jaw tightened. That hit harder than a punch. The dawn of the duel came fast. Cadets filled the arena. Even other instructors gathered. Garrick stepped in first, cracking his knuckles, rotating his shoulders, basking in the attention. Arya walked in second, silent, calm, carrying no weapon. Garrick squinted. "No blade? No staff? No armor? What are you planning to fight with?" "Hope." Arya tapped the pouch at her belt. "This," she said quietly. "And everything you underestimate." Garrick laughed. "Then I'll bury you next to that flag." Arya's expression didn't change. "Try." The duel began with a thunderous clang of the ceremonial bell. Garrick charged instantly. The man never believed in holding back. His first strike was a hammering blow meant to end the fight outright. His fists cracked the air, aiming for Arya's jaw. She slipped under it like falling water. He swung again, wide, powerful. She ducked. Again, faster. She swayed aside. The crowd murmured. Garrick snarled. You think dodging wins fights? No, Arya replied, stepping back lightly. But it does get you tired. Garrick lunged, grabbing her arm. His grip was iron, his strength was undeniable. But Arya had been grabbed before, by raiders who underestimated the Ember Children. She twisted, pulling her shoulder down, sliding out of his hold like smoke slipping through fingers. Now Garrick's annoyance deepened into something unfamiliar, doubt. Stand still and fight, he barked. Arya exhaled, slow and centered. I am fighting. You just haven't noticed yet. She began to move differently, a fluid dance the class had never seen. Her footwork drew patterns in the dust. Ember reaches combat form, taught only within her tribe. Garrick charged blindly. She redirected his momentum, turning his power against him. He stumbled. The class gasped. Arya didn't attack, not yet. Garrick's pride ignited hotter than the burning barrel from yesterday. He roared and punched again, this time faster, angrier. Arya parried. For the first time, Garrick's fist didn't land. It slapped away harmlessly as Arya guided it past her shoulder. He froze. That technique, he muttered. It protects what matters, Arya said. Something you forgot. Her moves grew sharper, more confident. Garrick swung. She pivoted. He kicked. She trapped his leg with a sweeping motion that made him drop to one knee. The arena erupted in shock. The mighty Instructor Garrick, down? Arya didn't strike his exposed face. She stepped back, giving him room. That respect cut deeper than any attack. Garrick rose slowly, chest heaving, eyes burning with something more dangerous than anger, humiliation. You think this proves anything? He snarled. Arya finally lowered into a fighting stance, the real one. It proves, she said, that your pride weighs more than your talent. Garrick attacked with everything he had left. No restraint, no strategy, just raw, wild force. Arya met him head-on, a deflected blow, a redirected elbow, a sidestep that made him collide with the arena wall. Every moment fed the fire rising and the cadets watching. Instructor Garrick, the untouchable legend, was being systematically dismantled by a girl he called weak. Still, Garrick was not done. With a bellow, he seized a wooden staff from the weapon rack and spun it, with the precision of an old warrior. The air whistled as the staff sliced toward Arya. A collective gasp filled the arena. Weapons were allowed in duels, but only if both participants agreed. Arya had not. But Garrick no longer cared about rules. He cared about winning. The staff cracked against the ground, centimeters from Arya's foot as she narrowly dodged. Is this what a hero looks like? She called out, voice cutting through the chaos. A man who breaks rules when he starts losing? Garrick's teeth ground together. A man who survives. Arya reached for the pouch on her belt. The ashes, her flag, her past, her pride. She crushed the pouch in her palm. The ashes spilled like gray fire across her fingers. Then she swept them upward in a sudden motion. The ashes burst in Garrick's face. Not to blind him. The ember ashes weren't harmful, but they disoriented. They symbolized something deeper. Garrick froze mid-swing. The gray dust settled onto his skin, his armor, his staff. What? Arya moved. 3 steps, a twist, a strike to his wrist. The staff flew out of his hand. Another step, a pivot, a sweep. Instructor Garrick hit the ground flat on his back. The arena went silent. Arya placed her foot gently on his chest, not crushing, not mocking, just enough to announce victory. The ashes still drifted through the air, glowing faintly in the sunlight. Garrick stared at them, at her. At the truth. She didn't bury him with violence. She buried him with the very thing he burned. The headmaster stepped into the arena. Combat concluded, he declared. Winner, Cadet Arya Ven. The class erupted, some cheering, some speechless. Garrick lay still for a long moment before Arya stepped back, granting him the dignity to rise. He pushed himself up slowly. Not like a defeated man, like someone waking from a long, heavy sleep. Arya bowed. Not sarcastic, not triumphant, just respectful. Garrick stared at her, the ashes still clinging to his uniform. You could have humiliated me, he said quietly. You didn't. Arya met his gaze. You tried to destroy my heritage. I only wanted to show you why it matters. Garrick opened his mouth to speak, but the words tangled in his pride. The cadets watched, unsure if he would explode again. Instead, Garrick knelt. A warrior's apology, a gesture older than the academy itself. I was wrong, he said, voice rough. Your flag wasn't weakness. My ego was. Shock washed through the crowd. Instructors exchanged looks. No one had ever seen him kneel. Arya stepped forward, offering her hand. Stand with me, she said. Not below me. He hesitated, then took her hand. From that day on, things changed. Garrick became the strictest defender of cultural respect. When new cadets arrived with symbols from their homes, he protected those symbols fiercely. He corrected instructors who mocked traditions. He trained with Arya personally, learning her style, teaching her his. Word of the duel spread far beyond the academy walls. Some said Arya challenged a tyrant and won. Others said Garrick had been reborn. The truth was quieter. Both learned. Both changed. Both rose stronger. One evening, months later, Garrick handed Arya a new flag, one crafted by academy artisans, embroidered with the ember sigil and the Iron crest intertwined. I can't replace what I burned, he said, but I can honor what survived. Arya touched the fabric gently. It didn't survive, she said with a soft smile. It transformed. Garrick nodded. Just like its owner. Under the setting sun, Arya raised her new flag. Not over a grave, but over a beginning. The same ashes that once symbolized loss now symbolized victory. She hadn't just buried Garrick's pride. She had planted something in its place. Respect, growth, legacy. And from the ashes of a burned flag, a new future rose.